forces with Bloomerang to provide an all-in-one giving platform that puts relationships at the heart of your fundraising. And so if you're curious about what that looks like, or you want to learn a little bit more, I encourage you to head to the QGive website or reach out. So with all of that out of the way, I am thrilled to turn it over to Gail. We have a lot to talk about today. So you're all in for a treat. Thank you, Gail.
Well, thank you so much. I just want to say that we really love Bloomerang. We really love QGive. We think y'all, they're a great new partnership. Highly recommend. And I want to say also that we are picky about who we recommend. So I'm not just blathering off some random endorsement. So let me share my screen, and you can see that I'm all set up here. I have my party flowers. I have my party outfit. I have a smile on my face. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So I want to unveil, so to speak, to you the true power of these small social events in your work to spread the word, to gain new friends, gain new supporters. And the beautiful thing about these small social events is that they're really more friend-making event. There's not an overt push for money, but you are working the crowd. And also these pictures, this is me on my porch where I used to live in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm broadcasting today from Chapel Hill, my new home. And the lady over here is Cynthia, and she is my friend who was running for the North Carolina legislature. And so I had a porch party right here on my porch to introduce her to new friends and supporters. So I also want to say that I have pictures strewn through this PowerPoint deck that are from real events that either I have held or I have attended. So these are real people in these pictures, all hopefully mostly having fun. And just a little bit about me. Gosh, just yesterday I found out that our newsletter, Fired Up Fundraising, was named #2 in the list of the top 50 or 60 or 80 fundraising blogs. So I invite you to sign up for our newsletter at gailperrygroup.com. And you'll hear a little piece of wisdom, cheerful wisdom, every Friday morning from us. And we specialize in capital campaigns and major gift fundraising. If you are planning a campaign, we're happy to have a free strategy call with you to help you along. And down here at the bottom, I have staged innumerable small social cultivation events. And also this is a little bit about our company. You can see that we do a lot of philanthropy and fundraising consulting. We particularly also specialize in boards. In fact, I wrote a whole book about board members and fundraising published by AFP and Wiley, which is an exciting read. And we talk about small socials and events in that as well. But today, where I'm going to spend a little bit of time about the why of these small social events and the why of this friend-raising strategy before you go into an ask. And then after sort of looking at the concept and the uses of small socials, we'll talk about how you execute a really good one, because you can have a flat one or you can have a sizzling one. And we want all your events to be fun, because then people will come back. And so you don't want to have a dead event. So let's make sure that that you have the right objectives for your event and that you set it up so that it can accomplish those objectives. And so you can see I have a fairly robust agenda. We'll talk about the format. And people ask, these are literal questions people have asked me about the invitation and the guest list, how to work the room, what is the agenda, how do we use board members, and how do we follow up? So we're going to get down into the nuts and bolts. If you know anything about my work, you know that I'm very practical, and all of this theory is great, but I want you to have practical strategies you can use tomorrow. And so I want to check to the Q&A box is empty. I want to make sure I have the chat box open before I really get going great. And just so you know that it's easier for me to monitor just one box. And so if you want to put some of your questions in the chat box as we go, that's fine too. It's hard to keep two windows open over here on the other side. So let's dive in. And this is a pool party staged by the North Carolina Opera. And you can see that people are having fun. And one of the ladies in this picture owns half of Raleigh. And she is at the event with a great big smile on her face. So this is an example of what you hope to pull off. In that people are outdoors, they are happy, they are interested, and there's also a lot of power in who exactly in the room. So why do we love these small social events so much? Why are they a key tool in any smart fundraiser or nonprofit's toolbox? And the reason is that you can do a lot of fundraising in quasi-social situations. I say this when I do a keynote or a talk, and everybody nods. And the thing is that you have a group of key stakeholders or key donors or key supporters, key community organizers who are going to help lift up your organization and expand its reach. Any select group of people. Maybe you're having a porch party or a picnic for your former donors, and you're trying to get them to renew, for example. So these kind of small social events work for anyone, but you can work the room, and we'll talk about that in more detail. And you can just touch people and see how they're doing, see how enthusiastic they are about your organization, and hopefully this social event is going to engage them more, and again expand their interest in what you are doing. This is actually an outdoor picnic, which looks like a lot of fun. I did not go to this event, but I think I might have liked to. Um, and what exactly is a small social event? Let's define it, okay? And this again is a picture from my porch. It is a no-ask social event with a short program. This is what we're talking about, a no-ask social event with a very short program. And I'll talk about you can do a soft ask, but not a hard ask. How about that? And a hard ask is when you can't run, you can't hide, your arm twisted, and you can't before you can leave the room. We do not want to do that at a small social. So people call these friend-making events. They would, if you call it a friend-making event, it will make your board members feel more comfortable, perhaps. You are not overtly trying to raise money. And last summer also, I decided everybody last summer that I wanted to lighten up the world as best I could. The world, we are all been dealing with so many issues and problems in the world today. And so I spent all of last summer making porch party videos and talking about porch parties. And porch parties are the same thing as a small social event, just so you know. And I'll define a porch party for you in just a second. But just know that all of these small events are no ask social, so you can work the crowd with a short program. And so the purposes, let's talk about I mentioned your objectives. Okay, so you can accomplish a lot of objectives with just one activity. And so maybe you have an objective to open doors to new friends and supporters, right? Open doors. That is one of the most powerful uses for a small social event, or coffee in someone's home, or a fireside chat, or a special dinner, is to invite new people, new selected, highly desirable, highly focused people that you've been trying to get to and trying to bring in because you feel like that they might be interested, but you haven't quite been able to get them in the door. So sometimes having somebody else do the inviting with a small select group of people makes them feel happy and makes them be willing to come. And then what about nurturing current donor relationships? We've been talking a lot in the fundraising world lately about the forgotten mid-level donor, the people giving maybe 5,000 and 10,000 levels. They're deeply committed, but most organizations and big fundraising shops have like an annual digital fundraising program, and then they've got their major gift program, and these very special supporters left in the middle are ignored. And I mean, a $5,000 or $10,000 annual gift is a significant gift for many people, and they want some attention and they want to be thanked. In fact, it just happened to my husband recently, and he's going to stop giving because he said he never got a thank you letter. So nurturing current donor relationships is a very important and powerful use for a small social. And then what about engaging our dear and wonderful board members? Because board members, they want to help, but they're embarrassed. They want to help, and then they back away. They want to help, and then maybe not. So we deal with board members who lose their courage And if you can have them host an event, they're far more willing to do that, especially if you're not going to have an overt ask. So we tell our board members, just invite some friends, and the friends who are interested will come, and then you can turn it over to us for follow-up. So we find that to be very helpful. So it looks like the chat box is quiet. So I want to know who's planning a small social event in the summer. Who's planning it? Let's hear from everybody while I'm going on, and I'll take a look at the chat box in a minute. And guess what? One of board members' #1 jobs is to open doors and be an ambassador and spread the word. This kind of porch party, small social is a wonderful way for them to open to use an old-fashioned word, Rolodexes or their contact list, and to help out your organization. So let's say we've got, oh yeah, we've got Rachel says they're having one, and Eva's here, but she's not having a small social yet, but she wants to try. And William says they're doing one in August. Anna is doing multiple ones of these this year. Way to go, Anna. And one person told me once, she said it took a lot of time to get the right people in the room that she really wanted to select to come in. And she said, but once they were there, I got so much done. So she said it was worth every minute, every minute. And so Emily's holding a series of events across New England. Absolutely. And Susan says they only have small socials. Hopefully you can get rid of the daggum gala that eats everybody up and just have small socials, and you will raise more money, right? You will raise more money. So the small social porch party motto, make friends first. Make friends first. And so here's the back deck of my old house. And you can see the cheese straws, and there's Cynthia, the guest of honor. We are all ready to go. We're so excited. And it was a wonderful event. And so I want to break down and talk a little bit about the formats, or sort of like the themes, various themes for these small social events. And you can have a little party for many different excuses. People need, what is my excuse? What is my reason for doing this? You may be trying to cultivate. I'll tell you a story. We're doing a major capital campaign outside of Nashville, Tennessee right now. And we had this one lady that we really, really thought would be the perfect person to chair the campaign. And everybody said, she's the one, trying to figure out how do we tiptoe up to warm her up a little bit so we can ask her. And so the staff team and the board asked her if she would host a small party at her home on behalf of this organization. And she hosted it. And then at the very end of the party, when everybody's so happy and it was just so wonderful, they asked her to chair the campaign, and she said yes. So that fits into #2, cultivate a board member or a community leader. Invite them to host one, or co-host, or even come so that you can have that friendly chat. The thing about the social chats is that it's easy. It's not like you're sitting across the table having coffee and it's, very serious, or in a meeting across the table, or even on a Zoom where you can run, but you can't hide. This is much more easy, and it feels less confrontational, I would say. But what about share news? We have a new announcement. We got Mackenzie's got money. Hey, Ray, we're having an announcement party. Or you have a capital campaign and you're announcing your early lead gifts. Or you're launching a new initiative in the public schools or in the area. Say you have a new program initiative. Great opportunity to bring it to the community with a social event. How about #3, make it a donor appreciation event. Remember, I mentioned the mid-level donors, or the donors who may have lapsed. Do something for them, and they're going to remember how much they love you. And then what about introductions? You have a new leader. Take advantage of the new leader can stay new for 3 years, right? Take them around, them around everywhere, and make a big fuss of them. And it's a great excuse to re-engage your community socially. And I want to tell a quick story. Let's see, let me check my timing first. I want to make sure I'm on time. Okay, good, I'm on time. I was a board member of the Carolina Ballet in Raleigh, North Carolina. And this was way back. A few years, a decade or so ago, and we had a new artistic director for the ballet named Ricky Weiss. He came down from Philadelphia Ballet, and he was a big deal to come to Raleigh, North Carolina to head up our ballet. We're so excited to have Ricky. And so I decided to have a porch party. And I decided to have a porch party to introduce him to various leaders in the community, whoever I could dig up. And the thing about a porch party is that it feels casual and fun. Just the names of it sound easy and appealing to people. Because one of the things about a good social event is that it's got to feel and sound appealing. And we'll talk about a little bit about that later. So I just did a simple email invitation, and I emailed about 60 people who I thought, some city leaders and nonprofit leaders and arts people, just to come over and meet him. That was my only objective, really, because I thought it would help with ballet develop some deep pocket donors. And I knew exactly who those donors were, and I wanted them on my porch. And so of the 60 people I invited, 30 people came and 30 people did not come. Okay. And so that was okay. So what as a board member, this is like, say your board members, you sort of issue the larger invitation to your community, and your friends who are interested will come. And the friends who are not interested will not come. And so people self-select that they want to be there and learn more about the ballet. And then I had people who could not come, and they said, gosh, I really wish I could come. I would like to meet this person. So it was so easy for me to do this. I was doing a lot of social events. The porch was easy, and you don't have to worry about the house. You try to keep people out of the house because it's not really clean yet. but it's keeping people in a certain area. It really did work, and it was very successful. I'll tell you something else I did at that porch party. There was a venture capitalist from Raleigh whose daughter was a ballet dancer. And I knew he was really interested in ballet. And so I made sure that he came. I circled around. I said, please come. And this would be, I'm sure you'd love to meet this new guy. And so he came. And so I identified him for the fundraising team. Now, as a board member, I wasn't doing any fundraising at that moment, but I was identifying a key person and opening the door to them and making the introduction. And fundraising team swooped in, met him, and he really wanted to get involved. He turned out he was chair of the board for a few years. And frankly, I think he might have kept the ballet afloat for quite some time. So you can see the power of a small targeted event, very focused on the people that you want to engage. And yes, this was a donor, but I also want to say, if you are a community organization and you want to raise up your community and build your visibility in your community, invite your community leaders, invite the community organizers and the stakeholders. Everybody has key stakeholders that they want to develop closer relationships with. You may have government officials who are deciding on your appropriations and your grants. Invite them. So you can see that you can use this format for many different purposes, depending on the kind of objectives that you have in terms of fundraising or community focus, or whether you need to just spread the word or begin developing prospects for a capital campaign. Lots of different ways to use this. And just looking at my list again, you honor somebody, a great excuse for a party, right? Honoring our former board members, honoring our outgoing board chair. Come have a sip of wine if that's in your culture or whatever. And what about social? Just celebrating the symphony. Isn't that fun? Or celebrating our public school foundation, or celebrating our university supporters, celebrating our healthcare champions. You can really be creative. And then again, number 7, donor groups. I've talked about donor groups, and we've already talked about that. And Robbie says, what's a good number to have? Or is there, I don't think you want a really big group. And I think you have to invite at least twice as many people as you think will come, if not 3 times as many people as you think will come. And so I don't think I would want to have more than 40 or 50 max. You want to have enough people so it feels like something is happening, but you don't want so many that you really can't work the crowd. If you're in charge of this event and you're a fundraiser or you're a key person in your nonprofit, you want to be able to meet these people. And so your job is sort of like host and party manager, watching the people around in terms of how they're interacting. And I worked with the Pearl Buck Foundation. They did such a good job when they invited me to work with them that I ended up sponsoring a child in the Philippines, and I'm still sponsoring. I'm very grateful. So this is one of their events. And they were deliberately networking to meet and open the door and engage with the key hand-picked individuals who they knew who could advance their cause. So just think about that. Rebecca has a question about the activities. I'll talk about the program in a minute, but I want to just touch on a little bit more about the why of this fundraising approach versus traditional fundraising. And Jennifer, yes, these are free. These are free. I mean, I've been involved with porch parties where there was a $25 surcharge. A private school down in Wilmington did one at the yacht club, and so they needed a little bit of underwriting. And I think that's fine, but generally I think it's best for them to be free, and the host should cover the cost. If the host is going to host, let them cover the cost, or create a little tiny, like 3 people who are hosting together. But look at this. This is more sophisticated approach to fundraising, y'all. Traditional fundraising is transactional. Usually it's about the money, the ask. Let's ask, we'll get some level of money and run off and ignore our donor forever. We know that that is not a long-term approach that's going to help you be successful. And so making friends first with these individuals, honoring them as the whole person before you ask for their support is the appropriate way to do it. Just slow down. We call it go slow to go fast. And yes, it's far more donor centered to be nice to somebody and make friends with them rather than it is to be organization centered where it's us, we need, we're so great. You should support us without anything, without being asked really. And I think too that being a little bit more social and getting to know people does build more trust and more confidence rather than if you come at somebody and just try to get money out of them. It's very crass and it's not productive in the long run. And friend raising creates a long-term supporter as opposed to a short-term one. And frankly, I think that this approach is kinder, gentler, more fun, and far more successful. Far more successful. And Nikki wants to know, how do you eventually ask for a gift? Let me talk about that. We'll talk about the soft ask at a porch party, and you're going to invite everybody to please join your mailing list or please get involved and to indicate how they want to be followed up. And so if these are major donor prospects, you want to follow up with them individually and find out what they're interested in and make an ask that is appropriate to their level of interest and their pocketbook. And if they're smaller donors, I would make sure that they go on the list for follow-up annual fund gift. Absolutely. So they go into the donor pool of prospects to be asked gently. It's really nice if when you send your direct mail letter for your annual gift or whatever campaign you're doing, if you could write, so wonderful to meet you at the porch party. Would love to have your support, or would really wanted to invite you to give. Allison has a question about the cost. Um, I think the cost is an issue that trips up a lot of people. But and I think again, it depends on your organization's culture and the region of the country you're in, and who the people are who are involved. If you're dealing with big, deep pocket people, they might be fine covering the cost and caterer and the whole thing. I know one group that had a party got a free band, and they had a party in a parking lot. And it was a wonderful event, balloons and face painting, and it was more of a community event, but I don't think it cost anything to come. And they asked people just to contribute. So, I don't mind asking people to underwrite it. I really don't. But let me just talk a little bit about the aspect of fun. Here's Ted. He was a neighbor of mine, another porch party. He was running for city council. I do politics for a hobby, so I like to be involved in the community. And so he came to the porch party. And the guy in the back is Anthony Quiller, and he is the most wonderful bartender that ever lived. He's like a member of our family, and it's always nice to have somebody. I would have a party and they say, "Oh, Gail, is Anthony going to be there?" So, if you have somebody like that, it helps make people feel that it's fun. Um, Roxanne said, yeah, pursuing a sponsorship to cover the cost is fine, but it shouldn't cost a lot of money. You don't have to have fancy hors d'oeuvres. You don't have to, I mean, people, if wine is in your or alcohol is in your culture, people will contribute a little bit. Um, if Amy Arnold says his nonprofit is about STEM, I think people are really interested in STEM. And I think people would come. But I would invite donors, or I would invite people who have a natural proclivity to STEM. But I'm gonna step away from the questions a little bit, and I'll talk about this notion of fun, because y'all, this is really important. Everybody needs to feel like they're enjoying themselves. You position the party, you brand the party so that it feels like fun. And I want to say that there's joy in this, in bringing people together in a happy social way, to connect with each other on issues that they're mutually interested in. And this bottom bullet is really key. Like, if your organization can be seen as like the convener of this key group, this key powerful group, it builds your credibility in the community of the power of who is in the room. So creating what we feel like is a fun event is part of the success strategy to make this happen. I worked with an organization once, and the board divided themselves up into 3 teams. So the entire board, they were either team 1, 2, or 3, and the teams competed to see how many people they could get to their porch party or a party. One person had it at the top of an observatory on the mountain. One person had it, these really cool locations, and they named their teams different names. So that brought out fun and joy in the board. It brought a team spirit to the board. They did raise money. They did create new friends and supporters, and also the board was activated and felt like they were really helping. So, and Jay has, we're dealing with mental health and wellness and addictions. I don't think I would do alcohol at a party like that. But I think that we're working with a treatment center, quite frankly, in one of our capital campaigns, and we're very careful about how we stage those events. Um, but I think mental health is really, really, really on people's minds, and people would come, especially knowing what does the mental health scene in our community look like. I worked with a homeless group once in Raleigh, where I used to live, and they had a social event to have a panel discussion on what is the state of homelessness in Raleigh. And we had some real key people who came. It was very great. And yes, thank you, Michelle. Mocktails. I love mocktails. Always good. Even more people are doing that more and more anyway. And so, regardless of this lady's look on her face, this is the group that was listening to the aria that at the pool party that the North Carolina Opera did. And they were listening to music, and they were um, pretty bowled over, I think, by what they were hearing. It was amazing. People say, Gail, I don't have a porch. How can I have a porch party? Well, we're talking about small social, can be anywhere. It can be any format, as long as these objectives are the same. You can have a fireside chat. In the South, we can be outside as long as it's not too humid. But up further north, you have to stay by the fire. You can have a coffee or tea, a garden party, a poolside party, cocktails on the deck or mocktails on the deck, a cookout, a hike. Tours, intimate dinners, you can use any format for this. Your objective is to work the crowd and get the key people in a room that you really want to get to know so that you can work with them. So the magic of the invitation and guest list, the magic. Here's Beth Ann Lott in her younger years. She's a part of our team. Um, People ask me who they should invite. And we think the best thing is to invite people who may be interested and want to know more. That's my favorite. But always include some board members, always include some key donors. And you can have different invitation lists. Remember, you need to invite 3 times as many people as going to come anyway, so you can spray and pray it. And here's our Congressman David Price. He's retired now, and other friends and supporters. Having somebody like a congressman there is going to encourage people to attend. The person that you are honoring and who that is going to encourage people to attend. The host and location will encourage people to attend. So again, it's this sort of positioning of the event as sort of a fun and social. I know in fundraising, we're just so busy and so intent, got to change the world. But if you can incorporate a note of fun into your work, guess what, everybody? You're going to raise more money because you're going to attract people to you. People are desperate for a little lightheartedness these days and to feel like they're actually helping to make the world better. One of my friends says, worry less and do more. Do more, bring more good into the world, bring people together to try to solve problems. And so I've already talked about how many people we should invite. I'm going to check where I am on my chart in terms of timing. I think I'm good. Don't want to get behind, don't want to get ahead. So this picture of this pastor, I ran into it in somebody's house. Bless their heart, this church decided to have a party. And the pastor himself is holding the sign. I just think that is just the coolest invitation. And even the church situation is saying amazing fun. I don't know exactly what the event was for, but churches are all about building community and bringing people together. And so I've touched on these ideas earlier, but if you want to attract the right people, and these are issues that you need to address, like who is doing the inviting, what type of people ask me what type of an invitation. I mean, I've seen fancy mailed invitations for something like this, and I've done email, or paperless post is very popular now. So, as long as there's follow-up, yeah, I think following up is really, really appeal. And does it seem appealing? Does it seem fun? And then the location and the timing is key. If you can get a cool place that people want to see, or a new house or something, people will come. And then a bump invitation for a peer. I'm all about, well, what can you call so and so and encourage them to come? So you got to do a little bit of strategy. I know Rachel has asked about how much work in terms of hours for staff and board. I don't think this needs to be laborious. I don't think it needs to be over planned, because a social event is just like, a traditional cocktail party in a way. Um, and she you I think you can do it with less time than you really want. I mean, if I'm hosting one of these parties, I spend more time, on organizing the food and getting the house straight, putting up all my junk so it looks calm and serene in my house rather than like a mess. Um, but then hopefully somebody else can do the invitation management. When I have to stage the party plus do the inviting, it's more work. And I could really use somebody to help me on that. Um, let's talk about board members. Now, board members, bless their hearts, and board members, I hope there's some board members listening today that your job is to be a host. Your job is to be a host, okay? And so that does not mean that you huddle in a corner with other board members and talk and turn your back because you're nervous and awkward. No, you go right out there and you're the welcoming committee. You're the greeter at the door committee. It's really important to greet people. And I believe in name tags. Absolutely. If you are doing fundraising, you must have name tags, and don't let the hostess overrule you. People are grateful for name tags. Everybody is grateful for name tags, including your board members who don't know the other board members' names, and they're going to be your key to knowing who who you need to be chatting up. And again, it's a social event, so you have to be friendly. So I think giving board members an official job is it will help them. It will help that people will do well with an official job. And it helps get board members over their awkwardness sometimes about being pushy, because all they're doing is being gracious in this situation. And so I was introducing my friend Cynthia at this fundraiser party we had for her when she was running for office. And one of the rules is you put down your wine glass when you're speaking, which I did not do, sorry. But I did try to have a happy and upbeat introduction for her. Once I went to a coffee that a friend of mine held for her nonprofit that she was on the board of, and my friend felt awkward, and she just thought, this is icky, we're all about money, this is just, and so the awkwardness that the hostess felt pervaded the room, and we were all going, ick, and so you have to be relaxed, you have to be smiling, and we're not being pushy for money. What we're trying to do is to create connection among people and to build up our community. So be happy and upbeat. And, I read once that the success of any event is based on the attitude of the host. The attitude of the host impacts the success of the event more than anything else. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Let's see. And so this again is an event that I attended. It was at a museum, but the event was for kids notes, a musical instrument for deserving children who want to take music lessons. And so here is the outline for a program. Everybody, this is key. The host welcomes and thanks everybody for coming. 1 minute, maybe 2, okay? Ideally, you have a board member. And again, 1 minute. I serve on the board of this organization for this reason, and this is why I believe in them. That's wonderful. If you can open with like a welcome to everybody, and this is why we believe in this organization, like an endorsement, you are off on the right foot. And then the program, you can't have people standing up who are past the age of maybe 40 or 45, because people's hips, their knees, their legs, whatever, you do not want people feeling uncomfortable. Somebody's wearing high heels and they start shifting back and forth. So your program has got to be short enough and upbeat and positive, and your guests have got to be comfortable. So your job as a host is to look around and make sure that people have a place to sit. And if everybody's standing, make sure the program doesn't go too long. So the program is snappy. It's all about, this is a testimony. This particular image right here in the PowerPoint deck is of a mother. This is a true testimonial, a mother of a child who learned to play the violin and what it meant for her family. And it was a beautiful story. You talk about storytelling that inspires action, very emotional. And so the guidelines for the program is got to be short, specific, and the call to action needs to be, we need everybody in this community on fire about this project. Please help us, please help us by having one of these events of your own and bring in 3 people, or, give people a specific action you're asking them to do. Call your congressperson and advocate for this particular legislation that will help establish policy in our area, or everybody become a seasoned subscriber, or everybody, let's step up and make this happen in our community. Some sort of call to action that's appropriate to your community, again, and your donor and your culture and your mission. And then it's always nice to have the executive director or the board chair close the event and thank everybody and invite some questions. Sometimes it's nice to have questions, you plant a few questions at the end. And sometimes Q&A is more interesting than a program anyway. I was doing a program recently and I interviewed somebody. We both had little mics and I interviewed them, asking them questions about the work. And that way you can keep it sort of on point. We have a question about how long do you think the event should last? You should have your program at the 1 hour mark or maybe the 50-minute mark. People will come late. They'll by the time they've been there for 45 minutes or so, they're ready for the program. And people will leave after the program. So that's why you've got a limited amount of time to work that crowd. And you want to have the name tags ready to go so you know who's there. Well, let's speak about the art of working the room. Let's talk about that a little bit. Because I've been talking about porch parties forever, and so people write me and they tell me about their adventures of having porch parties. And so this is one from some friends in the North Carolina mountains. They had a great porch party at the home of a current board member, and she had great local name recognition because she was a former state senator. And so therefore just that drew a good number of guests. And so here's the answer to the ask question. No direct ask was made at the gathering, but it resulted in new and increased gifts from several attendees afterwards. So this is the friend-making activity. You are engaging these people more deeply in your work. And so therefore, when it's time to ask for the gift, you will raise more money. So it's the go slow to go fast approach. And let's talk about the art of working the room. It would be fun to write a whole book on this. And remember that you represent an amazing cause and you're so excited about the work that you're doing. So it's always nice to have to be able to have that energy, have that energy out there. But also you've got to ask people why they chose to came. It's more, you are not there to be making presentations to people. You are there to be listening, and you don't find out anything about these people by doing all the talking. So I would love to know, how did you come to be here today? Or how I didn't know you were interested in the symphony. And just ask the question and let them tell you their story of when they wanted to learn to play the violin. So asking people why they're there is a great conversation prompt, and you can help your board members have that ready to go. And here's another porch. I forgot what this event was for, but let's see. One of the things about working the room is that you're creating strategic opportunities. So you want to review the guest list a few days before, and sometimes you can even triage the guest list into the people that you must talk to and you would like to talk to and then would be nice to talk to. Okay. So find moments to make sure, like if there's the number one person you want to introduce your CEO to and they come, drag your CEO over there or drag the individual over. Say, I really want you to meet our CEO. I know you're going to like them so much. So again, it's very important to actively manage this event if you're going to get what you want out of it. Don't be passive. Don't just let everything happen. Be a spark plug of energy, great big smile, name tags, introducing people to each other. So you are a connector of people is what you're doing. Plus you're asking the people that you're talking to, didn't know you were interested. Tell me more. And also it's important after the event to make some notes because you're going to forget. Everybody's going to forget. So, immediately afterwards, sometimes the hostess is so excited, they just want to, they want to debrief right there on the spot. And here's Stephen Louise Coggins from Wilmington, and they were talking about, they had one of their major donor couples host a small event. I think maybe they might have hosted the event, and it was very powerful, very powerful. And so I want to talk about the ask a little bit. do you understand the difference between a hard ask and a soft ask? Somebody is asking, do you have giving envelopes? You can have them, but I would not pass them out. Again, is that, I mean, somebody was doing a porch party and a board member said, we cannot have all these people in the room without asking them for money. The board member absolutely insisted. But if you can do a 1-2 rather than a ask right the first time you meet somebody, you ask, you're not going to get a lot. But if the first time you meet somebody and they're interested and then you ask, you're going to get more. So yeah, you can have some, but I would not make a big deal about it. I'd have it on the registration table, maybe, and some on the food table. How about that? I'd have two stacks on the food table and one at the registration table of just giving envelopes. And I'm fine with that. But you understand the objective of what I'm trying to. So I want to talk a little bit more about this ask. And so the soft ask is come to the next ballet performance, come to the next athletic game, support your local student, or join our mailing list, or we need everybody in this room to help make this possible. We hope that you're going to want to become a generous supporter. You can say that. We want everybody in the room to become a generous supporter. But if you're cultivating major donors for a campaign ask, I certainly would not do even a soft ask, other than we hope you'll jump on the bandwagon and let's make this a reality. Just something very general. And the hard ask is, like an ask event, you can run, but you cannot hide. And you've got that pledge card, and they're not going to let you out of the room until you make a pledge. That's a little awkward. Also, and this is the chair of the board of the Corpus Christi Symphony in Texas, that I did a board retreat 4 years ago. I love this picture. I think I took it right there at the board retreat. But here's some follow-up questions, okay? Call the key people. You triage the guest list. You're doing what you can. Call the key people and say, what were your impressions of the event? Could you see yourself getting more involved? And also what resonated with you about the program and our work. By the way, y'all, these questions right here are important. I mean, some of our clients, they take these questions down and they tape them to the computer screen, and they use them for prompts when they're making thank you calls or any kind of donor call. So you can say, could you see yourself get more involved? Or would you like to become a supporter? And I want to speak just a little bit. There's a difference between would you like to make a gift, or would you like to become a supporter? So what is the difference, everybody, between these? Would you like to become a supporter, or would you like to make a contribution? The difference is this is donor identity, which is a powerful new concept. Maybe it's not so new in fundraising, is that if I identify myself as a supporter, I'm more likely to give more and to stick with this program emotionally rather than just make a gift. Yeah, I contribute here, but I'm a supporter of these causes and these organizations. So when you talk about the donor's identity, it's a stronger ask. So just another hot tip for today. So this is I did a board retreat in Laguna Beach. These are the ladies of Laguna Beach who were on the board, and this was an event that they did. But let's talk about the follow-up next step. Now, paper cards are going out of style. QR codes are coming in. There may be a place for a paper follow-up card anyway, as long as you have enough pens that people could fill it out. The thing about a follow-up card like this is that it's a hard copy piece of paper that people are paying more attention to piece of paper, than they are just the digital stuff these days. I mean, direct mail appeals have so much more weight and get so much more attention than just the random email these days. But asking somebody, I'd like to join a mailing list. I'd like to host you can put a QR code on this paper. You can make a contribution. I would like to volunteer. I have an idea I want to share with you. Please call me. So then I really like this format. I think I stole it from somebody else. I've tweaked it a little bit to add what I thought was important. But this helps the individual think a little bit about what they just heard, because you're asking them to reflect on it. So if you can get that, but I did some event and the client had the follow-up cards. They went to great trouble to print them, but they did not force them out. They did not hand them out right there. It was sort of like this afterthought at the door. And so the follow-up cards didn't work. So if you're gonna do this, you've got to make a real point to wave it in front of everybody and say, please fill this out. We'd love to stay in touch. We don't have everybody's email address or phone number. If you would like to stay in touch with this wonderful mission and help strengthen our work in the community, please join us by filling this out. So you can see you've got to like drive it home. Let's see, I think I'm almost done. Yes, and here we have a QR code. And if you go, we have a YouTube channel on Porch Party videos, and I think most of the videos are also on this page on our website, gailperrygroup.com. You can see parties are a specialty. And so now, oh good, we've got a bit of time to answer questions, and I'd like to hear from everybody before we do the questions. What are your key takeaways? I love it. Let's crowdsource the summary of this event. We talked about the format, we talked about the why, we talked about the invitation and the guest list and the board members and working the room, the follow-up. What did you learn today that you can use tomorrow? What did you learn today that you can use tomorrow? I want to hear from some people. And prioritizing friend raising over fundraising. Thank you, James. I appreciate that. Yeah. And you know, days or times to have this event depends on your community. You know, I moved to a new community where Sunday afternoon events like this are a big deal. And we never did that in Raleigh, where I used to live. Some places Thursday nights are great times to do this. I've had a luncheon on Wednesdays at noon for every week. We had new supporter luncheon. So they're different. It depends where you are. So Julianne says she likes the idea of making it fun, and Katie likes something tangible for board members to do. And Arnold's going to start a series of small social. And you know, we specialize in capital campaigns, y'all, and we are doing these events like crazy with our clients to engage and identify, engage, and further cultivate these potential campaign donors. Getting the board involved is so critical. You are right on that, Chris. Yeah. Let's see. Somebody said here's the QR code again. I hope it works. I did a big presentation at AFP Icon and somehow the QR code didn't work. So again, don't you just love technology? So here's the QR code. Who else has a question? Let's see, what are the takeaways? Small socials can be effective. Amara says she's really happy to have this. Skip the gala. Yeah, Katie, ditch the gala. Ditch the gala. Keep things light. I wanted to give you, Robbie says that she or he or they are an introvert. And so this kind of idea works really well. Yeah. My husband is an introvert too, and he doesn't like the big crowds, but he loves a small group and he really enjoys himself. Elizabeth says this stuff works. It really, oh good, the QR code works. I'm so glad, thank you. And you know, this is a comfortable way to really expand fundraising. Keeping it fun when the topic is heavy and seems challenging. That's a great question. Just ask this when you got human trafficking or something really awful, or starving children, you know, that breaks your heart. You remember, emotion drives action. Okay. And so two things. People have joy in coming together and seeing each other and meeting each other. There's joy in that. And we need more of that in the world now. And then break people's hearts open with your program. Just break them down to nothing, and then have those little cards around, and people will make gifts. Yeah, I'm pretty crass. I hope y'all forgive me, but that's what I would do. Yeah, galas are out of fashion. Yeah, I would like to think, although I'm on a gala committee for some board, you know, coming up soon, and we're using my table at the gala as new people I try to bring into the organization who have capacity, as we say. But galas, you know, you're only, you know, it's 50% profit. You know, you only make 50% on the dollar. And it just, and if you, and people say, oh, we make more than that on our gala. Well, you add the staff time in, and it's going to be at least 50% cost. So, you know, and if you want a gala just to have expand your PR reach, well, then do an event that's not so expensive to expand your PR reach, in my point of view. Let's see. So a landing page for sponsors with that. I can't, I'm not sure about that one. Um, are there any that y'all want to take? Hostess of our webinar? Wendy.
Yes. I think you've hit all of them, Gail. That was
Oh, fast.
super fun. If anyone has any last minute questions, please drop them in the chat or the Q&A. I love how
Yeah.
everyone's saying emotion drives action. That really resonated with people. It was super fun, Gail. Thank you.
I heard some Shakespeare last weekend, and remember the Prince Roman countryman, and he's talking about he whips that crowd up into a frenzy.
Yeah.
I think doesn't it Brutus do that? I can't remember my Julius Caesar Shakespeare, but the thing is that this emotional stuff,
Yeah.
stay too much in this nonprofit jargon, and you drive people away.
Yep. Absolutely.
I would Brutus, I would invite y'all all to subscribe to our newsletter at gailperrygroup.com. If you have a question, happy to respond. Just shoot me an email. And I just want to tell you how grateful I am to try to help all these different wonderful causes and help you beleaguered and brave and courageous fundraisers every day you stand out there making the world a better place. And you might not get a lot of acknowledgement, but I want you to know how much I appreciate everything you do and how much we all depend on you.
Yeah, I echo that. Thank you so much, Gail. It was a total pleasure to have you join us. It was it was a wonderful hour. It was a lot of fun. And everyone, keep an eye on your inbox tomorrow. You'll be receiving a recording of the webinar and so many helpful links from Gail's team, from the QGIve team to get your next porch party up and running. Thank you so much, Gail. We'll
My
talk
pleasure.
soon.
Y'all
Thank
have
you
a great
everyone for
day.
attending.
Bye.
Bye-bye.